Thank you, Marty. And in case you didn't realize, we're definitely in the red zone. We got 30 minutes to go, and so I appreciate you guys hanging in there. And truly, obviously I'm quite biased, but this has been, after a 30-year career at this point, the most fascinating thing I've been involved with. And so I hope you find it as fascinating by the time you're done in 25 minutes or less. And I'll try to leave some time for questions, because this has a lot of what we've heard today. It has a lot of what we're hearing in the press every day, whether it be the trade issues, or the reshoring, or the energy transition, or picket. It's probably in the somewhere. And so I'm really excited about sharing with you a lot about what we're doing with Anovion Technologies. Quick background bio. Spent the first half of my career, 15 years in mergers and acquisitions, Goldman Sachs among others, and the second half of my career, the last 15 or so years now on the investment side. For the last 7 years, as Marty mentioned, I started probably what most of you would consider to be the craziest path possible. I decided when I left private equity to start a holding company, a diversified holding company from the ground up. And started with making minority investments with my own capital. And then in 2021, I started bringing some outside capital from some families and some executives I had known for quite some time. And then in 22, we made our first controlled investment, which is Anovion, where we started bringing capital into the individual assets themselves at a holding company level, and really creating an investor group that would control in most cases. And in this case, certainly does still. Anovion is a product of a merger of two sets of non-operating assets from two very, very long, old family businesses. In both cases, the one is an ESOP today in the United States, one a company called Amstead Industries in Chicago, the other Pyrotech Industries up in Spokane. We created this because Amstead is sitting on, in West Virginia, a set of assets that are called Atchison furnaces. Which means nothing to any of us in this room in a vacuum, but Atchison furnaces were invented 150 years ago, really for silicon carbide, sandpaper and what have you, and later for synthetic graphite. But the reason it's important is because the Chinese, the lithium-ion battery, the largest component is graphite. It's about 95% or more of the anode. It's about 25 to 30% of the total constituent of the battery. And today, China has a 97% market share globally of making synthetic graphite. Yeah, 97%. And so, and as it turns out, they realized in the course of the last 30 years, as they were developing their own supply chain for the in-region production of batteries, that the only way to scale up graphite production, synthetic graphite production, is through the Atchison furnace process. So now, and so virtually 100% of that capacity in China, the 97% market share, is running the same technology that we're sitting on in West Virginia. And it's the last remaining operational furnaces in America that run this technology, which means absolutely nothing other than the fact that we get to play on them while we're sampling product for our customers, because a little 3,000 tons doesn't matter to anybody when capacity when the market today is 300,000 tons of demand. All of that's equivalent to about $3 billion of value. All of that's being shipped in from Asia, 97% from China. And so here we are sitting on an opportunity to be able to start building a new industry in America, and actually, reshoring this technology that was invented in Niagara Falls, and actually building it at scale. So what we've been doing for the last 3 years, we formed the company late 21, merged them together, I guess technically early 22. And for the last 3 years, we've been focusing on three things. One, technical qualification with our customers. It takes, the anode of the battery can take upwards of 7 years. So that's part of our moat. It takes 7 years, in most cases, Panasonic, notorious for 7-year process to get through the technical qualification. And this is where the predecessor companies really helped us, because predecessor companies have already been in that process. So today we're sitting at around the 9th inning with Panasonic and a couple of the other Korean battery makers. And so the technical qualification is painful because the process is painful. The production process is painful. It's a very long cycle time. on the production process because the furnaces have to go to over 3,000 degrees centigrade. That's half the temperature of the sun. But we only do that in 4 days. So who cares? But it takes 30 days to cool. So your cycle time goes up materially, which means that you can only sample every 45 to 60 days. So really have to utilize these assets as much as we can, but we're limited by how often we can actually utilize them. And so I guess where we are today is technical qualification is near the end. So we think the next 3 to 6 months we should have our first set of commercial contracts being developed. And when we're talking about commercial contracts with the likes of the Koreans and Japanese, I think I mentioned that there's 300,000 tons of installed demand today in America. LG alone is going to need 300,000 tons a year. This market is going to, whether you believe in EV adoption or not, this is not about necessarily just electric vehicles. This is about batteries as part of the energy transition. This is about all the things we're talking about today around AI, requiring more and more power. How are we going to get more of that power when it takes years to develop, especially clean power, years to develop small nuclear or other opportunities. And so the way to do that is through battery technology and putting some amount of battery technology, energy storage systems on the grid or on some of these projects to actually create more power for when we need it most, thereby managing the power source better. That's going to require a lot of batteries, and so that ESS, energy storage systems, we believe is going to be actually bigger than the electric vehicle market potential. And therein also lies the national security problem, because right now, whether it's EVs or ESS, and by the way, military applications too, whether it be drones or the average soldier probably has 7 different battery packs in his kit today. And what they use today are AA batteries mostly. They're transitioning to lithium ion. But the challenge right now is that from a national security perspective, whether it be EVs on the one hand, or ESS or military applications, the only choice the US government has is to have Chinese batteries with Chinese stuff inside, or Japanese or Korean batteries with Chinese stuff inside. And so there's the national security problem. And that's what we're trying to solve for, is some amount of our if we're going to believe in building gigafactories, battery factories in America, we need to have some bit of that supply chain be domestic. We've learned, if nothing else, during COVID, that we need to have some bit of domestic supply of supply chains. And so what we're trying to accomplish is build enough capacity in America to at least supply the government needs and a little bit more, because there's no way in the next 7 years or random time frame it took the Chinese 30 years to build out what they have. For us to even be competitive, we just have to have enough to where we can actually have our, the needs of the government and some of the major customers, taken care of. So we're planning on building about 150,000 tons across 3 facilities. First facility, we have a site located down in southwestern Georgia. That's going to be a 40,000 ton capacity, billion dollar price tag. So this is not small capital. But shovel ready, we're fully permitted, we're ready to go. So the third vector that we've been focused on over the last 3 years, the first was technical qualification, commercial agreements. The second being the site. The third vector we focus on is money, and this is definitely taking a lot of money. This is probably going to go down as the largest friends and family round of all time.